Aloha everyone and welcome to Day 2 of the 2012 Pokémon World Championships. I'm Kyle Sucevich, here with Drew Holton. What's going through your head as we enter the top 16?
I'm excited. I'm, first of all, really happy for Pokemon to allow us to do this. It was kind of a last-minute thing, and they were just more than accommodating all weekend.
Yeah.
But I'm really excited to get down to top 16 so we can get moving forward and crown a champion.
Yeah, this is the big event of the year. This is the World Champion. If you win this tournament, you go down in the history books. People know your name for all time. And one of these guys, they're going to make history.
Yeah, I'm pumped.
I know, that's all you can say. We have some new players, we have some old players, and we actually have someone who could be a two-time world champion. We have Yuta Komatsuda. He won Worlds back in 2010 here in Hawaii. And also we have Michael Pramawat here, our very own Michael Pramawat, who finished second that year. And if the path goes correctly, these two could meet in the finals once again.
That would be spectacular. That would be a first-time thing, I think, ever. There's been people that have made it back to the finals, but never the same two people in the same year. So that would be amazing.
Yeah, I would definitely like to see that happen. It would be really exciting. I think that World Championship was the most exciting one we've ever seen.
Oh, yeah.
Where Pram had the devastating loss, which we won't go into too much. It still stings a little bit, but I'm definitely looking forward to these matches today. Of course, the first one we have is Michael Pramawat versus the German national champion, Steven Mao.
Yeah, it's going to be a real interesting matchup. We have Steven Mao playing the CMT, kind of a classic deck. It's been around for most of the season. And then we have Pramawat using the Speed Darkrai that Tom Dolezal invented for Nationals and made its top 8.
Yeah, so Steven, people might not know him that much. He is the German national champion. He started playing around when Diamond and Pearl came out. He won the ECC last year, 2011. So he's definitely a solid player. He's a newer player, but obviously he knows what he's doing. He won his Nationals with CMT. He's taken it here to the top 16. And we'll see if Pram can take him down with just the straight Darkrai deck.
Yeah, this is a really interesting matchup, I think. It's kind of like a chess game where the Tracheon is just... Can Pram avoid the Tracheon? It's always there. It's like an ominous threat. But if he can avoid it, he's got to feel good about his chances. But avoiding it is the key. It's real hard.
Yeah, you can never take the knockout in fear of retaliate. You have to kind of take two knockouts at once, otherwise you're just going to lose the prize race. So I think they're setting up. Let's go ahead and cut to the game. So we do have Steven on the left, and Michael will be on the right. Now, Michael, we know he's done very well in previous years at Worlds. This year, though, he qualified through championship points. He's a player from Virginia, kind of a smaller area, but he manages to do well at these high-level events all the time.
Yeah, he's real consistent, especially the past few years. Really dating back to even before his Worlds top 2 performance, he usually always top cut the big events, and it seems like he's been going farther and farther in recent years.
Yeah, he wanted us to make it perfectly clear that this is his 4th straight year in top 32. He's very proud of that accomplishment. Since 2009, he's been in the top 32. Unfortunately, last year there was only a top 16, and this year as well. But he's done well at past 4 Worlds, and here he is again, making a good showing.
Yeah, I would say if he can make it past this match, he's got to be feeling real good about his chances. This is probably going to be his hardest match right here.
Yeah, I believe so. We've seen 10 different Darkrai decks in the top 16, and then one more that has Darkrai in it, but it's not. It's the Chandelure Excelgor deck.
Yeah.
So 11 decks featuring Darkrai at the very least, and then you have 5 other ones. Now, the big hurdle in Darkrai's way would be Terrakion. So I think this is the one matchup that Pram really wanted to avoid, but Steven, he made it here with CMT, and it's going to be really, really tough.
Yeah, Steven is an excellent player. You have to be an excellent player to be a national champion, and I look forward to an excellently played matchup here.
Yeah, I'm sure both of these players have played this matchup out many times. These are just 2 of the most popular decks in the format. You always have Darkrai, you have Zekrom Electric, and then CMT. Those are the big 3 in this format. And then you have Vileplume decks as well. But if you're playing one of these decks, I'm sure you've tested against all of the top decks, and there might not be any surprises in this match, but we'll see.
Yeah, I think both players are probably packing their own surprise tech cards, and maybe that'll be the difference in the game. whoever has the surprise tech cards. I'm not sure what Steven plays in his deck, but maybe he plays surprise loss remover or something like that, max potion that can swing the matchup in his favor even farther than what a Terrakion would.
Definitely. I know Pram plays potion.
Yeah.
I don't know if that'll come up too much because, well, if Terrakion knocks you out in one hit, potion doesn't really matter. Pram also plays lost remover. That might come up. We do see mulligans here. But what do you think that this matchup comes down to?
I think it really comes down to whether Steven is going to always have that Terrakion response. I think that's kind of the thing with CMT. It's not always the most consistent deck, and sometimes you whiff those return knockouts. So if he can get those return knockouts each time, I think we'll see him move on.
Yeah, I think so too. CMT is always kind of the deck, when you play against it, it's really scary because it has all these options. It has the Mewtwo, it can turn 1U with Tornadus, it has the Terrakion if you're playing Darkrai. But when it comes down to it, there's just some times where you need the grass energy, you need the fighting energy, you need the plus power, you need the Celebi, the Sky Arrow Bridge, everything. And if you don't have all of it at the right time, you could just end up whiffing and you lose anyway.
Yeah, it's kind of, I would describe it as clunky perhaps, because sometimes you gotta get the Smeargle going, and then switch back to the Celebi, and then you gotta attach an energy with the Force Breath, and things, a lot of things need to go right for you sometimes.
Yeah. It's definitely not a smooth deck, but it has a lot of raw power. It makes up for its clunkiness by just being able to counter pretty much all of the top decks. It's just got Mewtwo and Terrakion, those are the two big ones.
Yeah. And I think this matchup, it can be a little more reactive. It doesn't need to be as aggressive because it's kind of sitting back waiting for a KO so it can retaliate back.
Yeah, and we just saw Pram mulligan for a third time, so this has got to be annoying for him. It's 3 extra cards that Steven will get. And if you're playing CMT, this is probably the last deck, besides another Darkrai deck, that you want to have extra cards. You can hear the countdown. We're getting started.
Here we go.
And here we are underway, top 16. But this match still hasn't set up yet.
The clock has started, but this match is not ready to go.
Yeah, alright. Looks like Pram will have a basic, and we're going to get started here right away. The big thing, first of all, is who's going to go first. And looks like, I know Pram always calls heads, so looks like, yep, Steven will go first.
And we see the Terrakion right away.
I know this could be a good and a bad thing. When you're playing CMT, your strategy can be, I'm just going to hold on to the Terrakion so that it doesn't get hit by Night Spear. And then I'm just going to drop it with either a Forest Breath from Celebi, and then I can power it up in one turn, or a Shaman, Celebration Wind, move all the energy to it. You really just don't want to have it sitting there on the bench.
Yeah, Terrakion on the bench isn't always a good thing, especially if there's not an Eviolite on it, because they can do the 30 with the Night Spear and then maybe catch her up the next turn and do 100 and knock it out and just completely avoid it.
Yeah, there's a lot of different things that can go wrong or go right for both players. Just little math here and there. Yeah. A lot of it just comes down to Night Spirit, whether or not Pram will be able to get 2 knockouts at once with these big attacks.
Yeah.
So we did see, after all those mulligans, Steven really didn't have that great of a hand. He has a fighting, plays a switch to a Smeargle and a Sky Arrow Bridge, so he'll be able to portrait, but I don't think he'll have any immediate threat this turn.
No, it doesn't look like it, but he was able to get that Smeargle active, which is pretty huge. Get another supporter.
Of course, Smeargle has become one of the most popular cards in the whole format. Just Portrait being able to get 2 supporters per turn is just nothing like it. We do see 2 tails on the dual ball, so looks like Steven won't be able to grab the Celebi. I assume that's what he wants to go for, and we'll see if he gets anything off Portrait.
Yeah, this is not as... Yeah, he Pram mulligans 3 times, and then he gets sort of a slow start, and then he whiffs the supporter on the Portrait. Wow.
Alright, so Pram's hand isn't the best, but you can see he's got the random receiver. He's going to be hoping to get a Juniper off that, I'm sure. He's got a couple basic darks in his hand. He has an Eviolite, so he's got a decent hand. I mean, and we'll see how Steven plays this out.
Yeah. So he's going to junk arm for the dual ball, try to get those Pokemon out.
Yeah, so unfortunate that he has to dual ball a second time here. You have to waste a junk arm on it. That's one of the cons of dual ball, but that's the risk you take when you play it. And I wonder what he's searching for here. Probably a Celebi, maybe another Terrakion.
Yeah, you have to think he's trying to get a Selby out, try to get going here. The Selby is really key to the deck. You get the extra energy attachments, which are huge.
Yeah, one of the scariest things about CMT going first is the fact that he could just land crush on the second turn if he gets the right amount of energy and a Selby out there. If you get 2 fighting and a grass, it's really easy to just go ahead and say land crush turn 2.
Yeah.
And if you haven't been able to damage that Terrakion, what do you do about it?
Yeah, that's the best possible start for him.
Yeah, and it's just why going first is so important. Although I have to say, CMT is probably the deck that doesn't mind going second against Darkrai, just because you always have the retaliate option. You'll always welcome going first, but you don't mind going second. So we will see the random receiver here from Pram. He's going to reveal cards until he hits a supporter.
He's going through a lot of cards here. He hasn't revealed anything too surprising yet, so that's good for him, but...
looks like he gets an Oak's New Theory. I'm sure he would have preferred a Juniper, because he had those 2 basic darks in his hand.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, he wants to get those in the discard pile for Dark Patch, so he can power up his Darkrai immediately, but looks like his start might be a little slower now.
He gets an Eviolite out, which is pretty huge. It avoids that 1-hit knockout.
Okay, and he makes a smart play here. He catches out the Terrakion, basically denying Steven from using Forest Breath next turn. Selby has to be active to use it, and he's already played a Switch and a Junk Arm, so you just kind of want to make them waste resources whenever you can, so that later in the game, maybe you can play an N, mess them up, and then they just can't draw anything.
Yeah, this would be the downside of starting with Terrakion, because he's always going to be the target for these catchers.
Yeah, and I mean, Terrakion is great, but if he gets dragged up there before he's powered up, he's got a 4 retreat cost. He's not going anywhere unless you got a Switch.
Yep. At the same time, Pram's start isn't too fast. I don't anticipate a turn 1 Night Spear here. So even being able to retaliate for 60 isn't too bad of a thing.
Right.
And if he gets a plus power, he can knock out the Smurgle, something like that. Get a quick prize.
Yeah, I wouldn't put anything past Pram, though. I've seen many turn 1 Night Spears from this guy. But he does Portrait for the Oak's New Theory. Pretty unlikely that he pulls off a Night Spear here, but there is still a combination of cards where it can happen.
Would be incredibly lucky for him to get this.
Yeah. He'll probably be looking at a turn 2 Night Spear, turn 3 if he's really unlucky. Which is what you need with this speed Darkrai deck. You sacrifice the power of Darkrai Mewtwo deck in favor of being a little faster and more consistent. You know, you just run Darkrai and Smeargle, and that second fighting comes down in the Terrakion. That's ugly if you're Pram.
He's an ominous threat out there.
Yeah, once that thing gets 2 fighting energy on, it's just like he's ready to go at you. And
he's getting ready to go.
He's like the bull, like, charging up, his hoof just ready to run at you, and
Pram's wearing red, so
he sure is. Oh man, so Steven could get a really strange combination of cards like a Switch, a Grass, Catcher, all that kind of stuff, but realistically we'll probably just see him retaliate this turn.
I think I did see a Switch in his hand, but I don't see an energy.
Okay.
It's like a Mewtwo as well. And a random receiver.
So we will see how he decides to play his turn out. Of course, the CMT deck doesn't usually play a high amount of Switch cards because you need to have Celebi active. You want to switch to Smeargle sometimes.
Yeah.
Terrakion is such a high retreat cost.
Yeah, that's kind of the clunkiness of the deck to me, because sometimes you have the Smeargle active, and then you have to switch to Celebi, and then you have to retreat to another attacker.
Yeah, so we did see a switch and catcher on that Darkrai. Something that Pram really didn't want to happen. His Darkrai will get hit for 40 here with Retaliate, at the very least. And the next turn that'll set him up to be knocked up by a Land Crush. And if he can't keep powering up Darkrai's, then he's not going to be able to keep up.
Yeah, he really has no way to avoid this.
Yeah.
Like, this Darkrai is going to take a hit, and then it's kind of useless, I would say.
Yeah, I would
It's
think
not
so.
going to be able to trade at the right prize exchange.
Yeah, of course, Darkrai is an EX, gives up 2 prizes. Terrakion, just a normal guy, got 130 hit points, hits for weakness against the Darkrai, but It only gives up one prize, and that's kind of the difference in this matchup. You got the big EXs fighting against the normal Pokemon, but the reason Darkrai can compete is because of that bench damage from Night Spear.
Alright, so we do see the 40.
Yeah, so nothing too surprising. Yeah. Pram does play Potion. He's probably going to be looking for that to avoid a Land Crush knockout. But we saw his hand wasn't that good. He's probably going to have to play a supporter and just hope for the best. One of the main reasons that catcher hurts so much is that now the Darkrai is your active Pokemon. Dark Patch only goes to the bench, so in order to pull off a Night Spear this turn, he's going to need like a Switch, Dark Patch, and another Energy. And he also doesn't have any Dark in the discard pile yet, so it's a very real possibility that he won't be able to attack again this turn.
Yep. It's not the best start for him in top 16 that I was looking for.
Yeah. Now this is a best 2 out of 3 match, so if he loses one game, there's 2 to go. I mean, you have to win 2 to advance. So one game is not the biggest deal in the world, but you never want to fall behind a game. It's not a good situation to be in.
Pram's a good player. He can rebound from it, but yeah, you just don't want to lose that first game, especially the first match of the day.
Right. I mean, you just wake up, you're all pumped, ready to go, and then you lose the first one. That can really hurt you mentally. Pokemon is very much a mental game, or it's a lot of decision making. So if stuff gets in your head and you start not thinking clearly, you can start to make dumb mistakes, which we've seen happen quite a bit.
So Pramawat gets another Smeargle. That's kind of interesting. You don't often see the Darkrai decks grab a second Smeargle.
Yeah. Usually you just want to have the one Smeargle, so when they knock out the one Smeargle, they still have to knock out 3 Darkrai's to win the game. Because Darkrai gives up 2 prizes. The math would just add up. Take 1 prize, then they have to take 6 on the 3 Darkrai's. So usually you don't bench a second Smeargle because it's another free prize for them to take.
Yeah.
But it looks like Pram whipped his portrait. There's no supporter there. And turn 2, still no Night Spear. Not a good situation.
He really wanted a fast start versus the CMT deck.
Yeah, I agree. Usually this Darkrai deck does get like a turn 2 Night Spear at the very least, with like 4 Dark Patches, 4 of everything basically. Same deck Tom Dozel ran at Nationals. But sometimes it just happens too. And when it does, I mean, your deck is just not as strong as the other ones. If other things can set up before you put on a lot of pressure, you can be in some trouble.
Yeah, Darkrai he needs to be fast. He's probably the best attacker in the game, I would say. Mm-hmm. But speed with Dark Patch is the true advantage of the deck.
Yeah, definitely. And if you ever let a CMT deck get a fully powered Terrakion, especially if with an Eviolite, the game can end quite quickly, actually. Just a couple land crushes and all of your Darkrai's can be gone.
Terrakion just wants everyone to taste the pain.
He delivers it very well.
You don't want to meet a Terrakion in a dark alley.
No, definitely not. I mean, you can see on the Terrakion card that it's like crashing through a wall, but I think in this game it might not be a wall, though it might just be bits of Darkrai that he shatters. We do see a dual ball. Not sure what he's going to go for.
Maybe trying to shore up his hand a little bit.
Yeah, dual ball is a card that he might not want to draw later, but that's another thing about CMT. Dual ball, I mean, that's your main search, and you don't always want to bench your Pokemon early. Like, you don't want to bench another Terrakion, because then they'll just get Night Spear. In other matchups, you don't want to bench Mewtwo early, otherwise they can just knock it out with their Mewtwo, and you'll be down 2 prizes. So a lot of CMT's problems come from you need to hold your basics until the right turn, and then if they play N, you have to go back and find the basics again. So that's just another thing that's kind of clunky about the deck.
Yeah. I actually don't see an energy in his hand.
Oh.
I think he had... Oh, wait, maybe there is. DC, maybe. Yeah.
Now, that one is a good one for Pram, because he does play Lost Remover. If he's able to get a Lost Remover, he can remove that energy and set CMT back in turn. Steven, a lot of CMT is just keeping your energy in play. And we do see Launch Remover from... Or actually, it's a Junkyard, sorry. It's hard to tell with the glare sometimes. But I thought I saw Steven plays Launch Remover. I'm not too sure, though.
Oof. So, a catcher.
Yeah, that's a really strong move. It's going to be 2 prizes for Steven. And Pram hasn't even done damage. So, I don't know what Pram's plan is here. And oof. That's even worse. He draws a plus power.
I would say this game is almost over at this point.
Yeah, if Steven had just knocked out the other one, Pram had 2 special darks. He might have been able to pull off something fancy with like 2 plus powers or something, and knocked out the tracking in 1 hit. That would leave Steven in a bad position. But now, no energy on board.
No basic darks in the discard pile, or maybe he has 1, but.
Yeah, you might have 1, but still, that's just not good. There's well, now the tracking's not fully powered, but it was.
Still, it's still swinging for 180 versus that Darkrai. It doesn't have an EV light.
And tracking has no damage on it. So, this is about as bad as a position as you could be in. But he does Portrait for the N, and as we've been saying, N is very detrimental to CMT as the game progresses, just because it needs so many things from its hand to be able to play everything out.
Yeah, I don't know what to say. This is...
Yeah, I mean, Pram's hope here has got to be N, cross my fingers, power up a Darkrai, and I mean, just hope you can knock up this tracking and that he never gets another one out. This could be huge. 2 plus powers and a Juniper. If he can get 2 dark patches here, and well, I don't think he can actually knock this out this turn. That would be so many cards. He needs 2 more plus powers.
2 more. Did he attach that dark?
Yeah, he did.
That, so yeah, it's literally almost impossible.
Unless he puts down like 4 plus powers in 1 turn. I've seen it happen before.
I think he only plays like 2, so it would be incredibly lucky. He would have Junk Arm 2 back.
Yeah, I think so too. I don't think he'd have enough cards to pull it off. But if he can even get a couple dark patches this turn, that'll be really big.
No, there's
He hasn't even played 1 dark patch yet this game. And this is not the way you want to start if you're Pram.
I think that was probably his key turn to get something rolling.
Right.
He really needed an attack.
That was the 1 turn where Steven was kind of vulnerable. He only had the 2 energy on his Terrakion. He would have needed another energy and a plus power to get a knockout on the Darkrai. If he doesn't, who knows what happens from there. But now we're still in the same situation we were in last turn. Fully powered Terrakion, no damage, versus a Darkrai with really just 1 energy on the field.
Well, he burned a lot of... he has a catcher in his hand. I was going to say he burned kind of a Junk Arm and a catcher last turn. Maybe he doesn't have a catcher, but he definitely has it.
Catcher plus power again. That's going to be 2 Darkrai's down.
Yeah, I would say it's probably in Pram's best interest to scoop soon.
Yeah, I mean, in a best 2 out of 3, sometimes you just want to scoop to save time, but I don't even know if I would in this because the game's going to be over so quickly.
I guess.
You might as well just try to go for it. And I actually don't know who would have the advantage in like a sudden death scenario. Maybe Darkrai does.
Just whoever has the best hand, I would assume.
Yeah.
And whoever gets to go first. I don't anticipate this game or this match will go sudden death. These are both kind of fast decks.
We saw Pram made a little bit of a mistake there. He went to discard the Juniper with his Junk Arm. He discarded the wrong card. So he meant to discard the Switch.
Yeah.
Accidentally discarded the Juniper. And you can see he's getting a little nervous here. He knows he's losing this game. And there's a lot on the line. But just unfortunate to see.
Yeah, he made a couple mistakes there. Grabbed the wrong card. He didn't want to grab the EV8 either, it seemed.
Yeah. But sometimes when you're in this situation, your back's up against the wall. It's a really high-pressure match. It's also early in the morning. You just woke up not that long ago. You can be a little jittery.
Yeah, especially if things start to go against you very early.
Yeah, and when things have been going so well for you the whole tournament and things start to take a turn for the worst, sometimes you don't always have the clearest head to react to it. But I'm sure Pram will be able to recover in the next couple games. But this one looks fairly over.
Yeah, I don't anticipate him powering up another Darkrai.
Yeah. The main thing he did get going for him, though, is he portraited the end from Steven. He's going to be down to 2 cards. If Pram can manage to power up a Darkrai this turn, maybe he can get something going. And there's 2 Dark Edges.
Oh, maybe he can.
So
just needs to attach now.
CMT is very vulnerable to end. We've seen Steven has played a lot of resources out, so it would be a huge comeback. But I've seen stranger things happen.
Well, this Darkrai is going to take 160 coming back to Pram. Assuming Steven doesn't have the plus power for the one-hit knockout game, and I don't see it avoiding the 40 damage somewhere along the way to seal the deal.
Yeah, he would have to get extremely lucky for Steven to avoid all that stuff. And first of all, he needs to get an attack off this turn. So we'll see what can happen. All right.
There's the attack.
And that's actually pretty big. He gets a special Dark.
Yeah, he can get 2 KOs the next turn by sending the Tracheon back to the bench.
Yeah, so I think Pram's short-term game plan here is going to be you hit the Tracheon for 100 and a Celebi for 30. The next turn, in a perfect world, you would catcher his Smeargle, prevent the portrait, and then knock out both that and the Terrakion.
Yep.
Maybe he just doesn't draw anything, and if he doesn't get any energy, maybe you get a lucky win.
Yeah, he did get into 2, so he might not have anything in his hand. It looks like Mewtwo and 2 grass.
Oh, that's not very good at all, actually.
Or an N. It's actually an N.
Okay, that's also not very good. He will get 2 additional cards, but that's not the supporter you want to be seeing here. But this has to be nerve-wracking for Pram. If Steven draws a plus power, I don't know how many he plays, but if he draws one, this game's over.
Yeah, I think he's already played 2.
I think so.
I think the max he would play would be 3, somewhere 2 to 3 is probably the right number.
Yeah, I think a lot of them play 3 just because, well...
2 DCs, which is not good, because
Yeah,
he can power that Tornadus EX.
Yeah, it's actually just a normal Tornadus, but yeah,
it is.
Just a Hurricane will be a knockout, unless Pram pulls a couple potions here. Sure.
Every potion in his deck.
Yeah, he's played up most of his junk arms already, so... No, actually, an interesting situation.
If he can get a knockout on the Tornadus...
Yeah, and Pram sees this. If he doesn't have any supporters in his hand, Portrait will not be a factor.
This is a huge turn.
This could be interesting. We might see this come down to Smeargle's tail wrap or something crazy like that. But still, there are so many cards Steven could draw here. Dual Ball to get a Mewtwo. Top decking a Mewtwo itself. A supporter.
Yeah. Pram's definitely hoping he didn't get a supporter from that prize.
That too, and it looks like he did.
I think he got a pot, yep.
Yeah. So this is going to be huge. That's pretty unlucky for Pram.
Still, Steven doesn't have an attacker on the field right now, so he has to hit an attacker and the energy necessary to power it up.
Yeah,
it's
but
like
he also
a
gets to
DC.
play a supporter still.
Yeah.
So his deck is pretty thin. I'm sure there's a Mewtwo left, and all he needs is Mewtwo, double colorless, and it'll be X-Ball for the game. So Pram's got to be really cursing his luck. I don't think he had a supporter in his hand.
No, he didn't.
And then he just drew it off the prize. So
I see the Mewtwo, so there's one part of it.
will he get enough cards to take the knockout and close this game out? CMT has a lot of trouble just closing games out. But when you're in this good of a situation, it's hard to whiff everything.
I think I saw Juniper in his hand, so he has the Mewtwo and the Juniper. It's hard to imagine him missing what he needs off of all this.
Yeah. He's just taking a look at what he's gotten rid of. It's like 3 junk arms, 2 switch. I know he plays at least 3 switch. I saw that in his deck earlier. Every deck pretty much plays 4 junk arms.
Yeah, I think he's contemplating whether he wants to retreat to a Celebi and use Force Breath, or just go for the DC.
Mm-hmm. I do have to say that it was extremely unlucky for Pram to have the supporter for Steven to Portrait, because if he didn't, his turn would have just been pass.
Yeah.
And then the Smeargle probably gets knocked out. And then he's back to top deck mode.
And then the 2 Celebis would be knocked out on the next turn. If Steven didn't get another basic, that would be game right there.
Yeah, so this game was actually much closer than we gave it credit for. It all came down to that Portrait.
Oof, there it is.
And that will be game 1. Steven Mao will take the first game here in the top 16 against Michael Pramawat.
Alright.
Now, if you're Pram, you got to be feeling not too great about that game. I mean, pretty much everything went wrong for you, but you're probably feeling a little optimistic because after everything that went wrong, the game was still kind of close.
Yeah, it was still pretty close. He kept hitting the ends off of his portraits, and that really kind of put Steven in a weird situation down the road.
Yeah. If he can just manage to get a quicker start this game, I think he'll have a good shot at this. This matchup is extremely close, even with the Terrakion. Darkrai is just that good. Night Spear is really good against like Celebi and just setting up double knockouts. Especially when you get plus powers, special darks into the equation, you can start hitting for a lot of damage.
Yeah, I think also Pramawat got some information from that game. I don't think Steven plays Eviolite.
Yeah, I noticed that as well, which is actually a huge matchup in this deck. Or a huge card in this deck for the matchup. Slurring my words together already.
Yeah, Eviolite would prevent the Terrakion from getting knocked out in 2 prize shenanigans, so...
Another thing we didn't see was any sort of healing card. I don't know if he plays like a max potion or potion. Those things also help to avoid Night Spears.
Yeah, we saw a revive, so maybe he opted to play that card over all those other cards for some reason, it's a fine card.
Yeah, the CMT is a really tough deck to play test against because there are so many different versions of the deck, so many little techs you can add in. We've seen people play Tornadus EX, some people don't play it, some people play like Potion, Max Potion, all sorts of stuff. And we do see Steven looking through his deck here. I don't know what this is all about.
Jason Klaczynski would be rolling over in his sleep right now.
You'd probably run over and start screaming at him for declumping, but I don't know. Judges aren't saying anything about it, so.
Must be okay with it as long as he shuffles up his deck some more.
Yeah. I do think Pram still has a very good shot of winning this match. He will be going first this game. That game really didn't take very long at all. And so we'll have plenty of time to play out the series. And I don't know. It's pretty much a 50-50 matchup, I would say.
Yeah, I think it just really depends on who gets what they need down the road. I think we saw ends played a huge factor in the last game. And really, this format as a whole, it really comes down to who draws well off of those.
Yeah. So we will shuffle up and draw here for Game 2 of the top 16 between Steven Mao and Michael Pramawat. Let's see, no mulligans this time. So Pram will open, looks like he opens with a Darkrai actually. Interesting.
That is really interesting considering he's going first.
Yeah. Maybe he's got like a switch in his hand or something. Yeah. So he just wants to get that in the discard pile. So he can junk arm for later maybe. Yep, there we go.
So that is the start he was looking for last game. Get those 2 darks in the discard pile for Dark Patch.
Yeah, I mean, that was actually really clever of him to open with the Darkrai. He noticed, hey, I'm going to be able to get these energy in the discard pile if I do this switch and junk arm. So he really understands the deck very well. Now he did Portrait for that Juniper. Turn 1 Night Spear is a possibility.
It's a definite possibility.
There's 2 dark in the discard pile. He does play plus powers as well. So even though that's a Tornadus with 110 hit points, there is an outside chance that Pram will win on the first turn.
Yeah, if he attaches a special dark, it's completely within the realm of possibilities.
Yeah. Now, he did only draw 1 Dark Patch there, so in order to get this off, he would need, what, another Dark Patch, an Energy, and then a Sky Arrow or a Switch.
Yeah, it's
a lot of cards.
He would have liked to have another Dark Patch or another piece of the puzzle before the Professor Oak.
Yeah, you do need a ton of cards to pull off a turn 1 Night Spear, but we've seen it happen. It's not as unusual as it should be. It's absurd to think that you can hit for that much damage on the first turn, but it's definitely a part of the game.
Let's see what he got. I think I see a Dark Patch, so...
Okay, I see an Ultra Ball. And there's another Darkrai coming down. Yeah, that's a Dark Patch.
So he probably did whiff.
Yeah. He's just spreading his energy out. He realizes he won't be able to attack this turn. And it'll just pass. So even though he didn't get a turn 1 Night Spear, that's still a very strong start. you're threatening turn 2 Night Spear, and you have 2 energy on one Darkrai, 1 on the other. You're going to have an army of Darkrai's going pretty quickly.
He did miss the turn 1 Darkrai, but that's probably the next best start right there.
Yeah. And now we see Steven. Looks like he's playing an Ultra Ball.
Yeah.
Interesting that he's playing that in CMT. Usually that's a deck where you don't have too many cards you can afford to discard between that and Junk Arm. You focus more on Dual Ball. Well, maybe Ultra Ball is just the reliable, okay, I really need a Pokemon right now. I can't afford to risk it on the flips.
Yeah, Dual Ball is a card that's just on the deck kind of because you have to play it, and no one likes the flips, you know?
Unless you can flip 2 heads all the time. Then you're a big fan of Dual Ball. But everybody flips 2 tails every once in a while, and you're just like, why can't I just grab one Pokemon? So we'll see what he decides to Ultra Ball for. Smeargle. And I think it's interesting to see how the game has shifted so much. Last year, the big thing was Cleffa. Every deck ran Cleffa, you would eke his setup. This year, I can't play Cleffa anymore. The game's gotten too quick. Darkrai can just Night Spear the Cleffa on the bench. You get 2 prizes easily. And now it's just Portrait. And I can copy your supporters. Every deck pretty much just playing Smeargle, and lots of copies of it.
Yeah, even before Darkrai came out, we saw like Mewtwo, DC knockouts on Cleffas, so
yeah,
it's just a very fragile card at 30 HP.
Tyrogue made a comeback for a short amount of time, taking out Cleffas and Dynamos. So it's just interesting to see how much the game can shift, even with just one new set coming out.
Yeah, Dark Explorers was a huge set.
Yeah.
A lot of playable cards came out.
Big one, obviously, is Darkrai.
Yeah, you see the Darkrai decks, you see the Excelgor decks that were huge at Worlds this year. And just, those are 2 huge decks that came out in one set right before Nationals.
Yeah, and people like to look at Dark Patch and Night Spear and say, wow, these are just extremely good. But I think the overlooked thing is its ability that just gives free retreat to anything with a Dark Energy. That actually opened up a lot of deck ideas. People really didn't realize at first, like the Kling Clang deck, the Bioplume decks with like the Mismagius, Excelgor deck, all that stuff. Just one card opened up all these decks. Now we see a Portrait. We see Pram as an Ultra Ball, a Dark, and a Random Receiver, and Steven's going to pass. So this is a big opportunity for Pram if he can manage to get anything going.
Yeah, he's going to want to avoid a knockout.
Yeah.
So he's going to want Catcher, and probably the Tracheon as his target, and get the first attack out there.
Yeah, this deck does play 4 Catcher because it's so crucial just to be able to pick what you're hitting and hit for 30. If you hit the wrong thing once, you can end up just losing the game. It's a deck that really you need to play well. You need to place the 30 damage to the bench properly, otherwise you're going to end up losing.
Yeah.
So he will Catcher out the Tornadus, which is an interesting decision, that he would rather do that than bring up the Terrakion.
Maybe he's assuming he's not going to be able to do 100 to the Terrakion this turn, so he'd rather put the 30 on it.
Yeah, that's a good point. One of the things in this matchup is that Celebi has 60 hit points. That's just 2 Night Spears. You can just hit it for 31 turn, and it's just there for the picking, pretty much whenever you want it. And that also takes away their energy acceleration. So, as good as Celebi is, it's definitely a prime target in this matchup.
Yeah, that's one of the things that you would play a heavy Eviolite count in CMT for to really protect your bench.
I agree. You really need to protect it with either Eviolite or Potion, or Max Potion. It's surprising that Steven, as far as we know, doesn't play any of these. But he's going to hit the Darkrai, or he's going to hit with Darkrai, Tornadus for 90, Terrakion for 30, just setting up his options for future turns.
And it does look like he's going to be able to get that crucial 2 prize turns going this game. Yeah.
Now, one interesting thing is Steven is still playing the regular Tornadus. A lot of people shifted to the EX. You know, it just has the potential to blow through turn 1 or Power Blast, get easy wins, but Hurricane is still a really good attack. Pairs very well with Terrakion because you move the fighting to it, and then if they knock out your Tornadus, you can just retaliate.
Yeah, it's a solid card. Allows you to power up other attackers, kind of.
Yeah, I mean, the 80 damage isn't too great, but it's going to set you up to take other knockouts, and it's going to power up your other Pokemon.
It kind of is a good starter almost, too, because it knocks out Smurgles and stuff like that.
Yeah, and it's also another attacker that's not an EX. That's a big deal as well.
Yeah.
Right now we saw a switch, Forest Breath, and a Juniper. So he's going to need a switch and an energy, or a Sky Arrow and an energy, I think. Otherwise he won't be able to really do anything this turn. And that is going to be horrible.
Yeah. I think I see a Junk Arm in his hand. I'm not too sure about the energy, though.
Yeah. Otherwise, those 2 energy are just going to pretty much hang there and get knocked off the field. It's going to reset him completely. If Pram can manage to get a catcher on that Terrakion and hit it for 100, which Night Spear, you need a plus power or a special dark, then he can take 2 knockouts, and that would be devastating.
Yeah, that has to be his game plan.
Yeah. So he does have a Junk Arm for that switch. He is going to be able to portrait this turn and go for another supporter.
Yeah, it seems like he whiffed completely there, so...
He's going to catch out the Smeargle, just in case he does get something. Also, there's no Sky Arrow Bridge in play, so that might prevent Pram from doing something next turn.
Yeah, bringing up Smeargle is kind of interesting, because if the Smeargle gets knocked out, it's not a big deal at all for Pramawat, because he's never going to put another Pokemon on play that gives up 1 prize.
Exactly. But Steven does get another supporter out of his portrait. He'll be able to Juniper, and he did draw the Sky Arrow Bridge.
Yeah, I think he got everything that time.
Yeah. Does he want to just attack and knock out the Smeargle? Like you said, you're not really gaining any ground.
I think I saw a catcher, so I would definitely use that.
Okay. So we've seen... This is the second time that Steven's going to catcher one thing and draw a new hand, and he's just going to catcher another thing instead. Well, we'll see if he goes that route or just takes the knockout on Smeargle. Oh, he's retreating without any way to retreat, actually.
Alright.
There's no Sky Arrow in play. There's no switch being played.
I mean, he has it in his hand. Someone just has to recognize that it's not out in the field yet.
Yeah, nobody is noticing this. Wish we could go say something, but we're back here. So we'll just pretend that this never happened.
Yeah, hopefully he just plays it down next turn.
Yeah, I don't know how to explain that one. Both players just kind of assume that one of them would play it, I guess. And both people do play Sky Arrow Bridge. So once you play this much, it gets to a point where you just like always think it's out there, but it's not there.
Yeah. I know in testing a few times I was playing the lock decks, and I would try to retreat without the Darkrai out, stuff like that. You just sort of get to a point where you assume.
Oh, okay, they did realize it, so... I wonder if this will be a big deal or not, because there's no way for them to know.
Yeah, it could have been a prize.
Yeah. This will be an interesting situation to resolve. Of course, we have the video. I don't know if they'll use that evidence. So we're just trying to resolve this here. This is a rather sticky situation. You could say, I don't know, he could not have had that in his hand.
Yeah, it could have been the prize.
Yeah, and then if he didn't have it in his hand, he could have just cheated me out of a prize. And that could end up determining the match, but I don't know. This will be interesting.
Yeah, I don't know how often this happens. I'm not sure what the correct ruling is in this situation.
Yeah. Huh. So we're just going to sit here and see what happens.
I'm not sure what's going on here. Like
Bram's
trying to rewind.
Yeah, he's reversing everything that's happened. I don't know if there's any way to reverse prize being taken, though, because you don't know what card that was.
Yeah. If only he had 2 Sky Arrows in his hand.
Yeah, that would be the only way to really resolve this situation and prove it. So yeah, we're just going to sit here. This does happen sometimes. Unfortunately, we might have to get a penalty enforced here for sloppy play or something like that. It might even be more severe. Could turn into a prize penalty. Who knows?
Yeah, you hate to see this happen, but occasionally it does.
Yeah. Have you ever had this happen to you in a tournament where stuff like this happens?
No, I've never had this situation where there was a knockout involved.
Yeah.
And you don't know whether the key card was in play. Because it's like Skyr was a gym, so it's kind of a different situation. Most of the time, if a card needs to be played for a knockout, it has a direct effect like that.
Yeah.
But in this situation, Skyr was necessary to retreat.
Yeah. One thing that might happen is they'll say, well, you couldn't retreat. You announced your attack. You couldn't attack. Now your turn's over. So they might just reverse that turn completely. I don't know how they resolve the prize being taken, though. They just take a random card from his hand, or...
I hate that random card ruling that sometimes floats around. It's... The whole situation is bad.
Yeah, I actually had that happen to me at a regional where the guy played Professor Oak's New Theory, and he drew 7 cards. And their resolution was, we're just going to take one card randomly and you shuffle it back in his deck.
Yeah, that just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
At any level. Like, how's this the solution?
Yeah, like, so if I draw my 6 cards and I see I didn't get what I wanted, could I just draw an extra card, and then there's a chance that I just, hey, I got what I wanted and he didn't take it away.
Yeah.
There's no real good way to resolve these things, unfortunately. But like you said, I don't think the random card is the way to go.
It seems to be a pretty lengthy ruling.
Yeah, this is actually really tough to resolve. And I'm sure these guys have to be nervous already. And this is just going to add to the jitters that you get in such a high-pressure match, especially for Steven. When you're the one who makes a mistake like that, it just kind of gets to your head. You start to shake a little bit. Start to question everything you do.
Oh, looks like they might be going with the random card method.
Oh no. So, taking a random card and putting it in the prize. I'm sure there'll be a warning as well. And one of the things they have to do is say...
And they got I think it was the Skyro too.
Oh my god.
Oh.
Wow. Yeah, so they do have to rearrange his prizes because he knows it's in his hand. He knows which card went there.
This is a crazy turn of events.
Yeah, this is an interesting situation to say the least. The other thing that happened when the guy played the Oak's New Theory against me in Drew 7 is they made him show me his hand as kind of the rest of the penalty.
That's even worse, I feel. It's like a free portrait.
Yeah. And of course they give him a warning. So if he ever does anything like that again, it'll be a much harsher penalty.
Yeah. So he does have a junk arm, so he could burn that if he wanted to switch again. I'm not sure what the exact ruling is going to end up being here.
They also do need to fix the energy, because it was on the Tornadoes.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be on the Terrakion right now if he didn't use Hurricane. Oh, you hate to see things like this happen, but sometimes it just does. Even the best players make little mistakes. You think too far ahead, your hands move faster than your brain. It happens to everybody.
Yeah, you have to know he wanted to play that Sky Arrow down, and he meant it. So, just a small lapse.
Yeah. I mean, we could see clearly he had it in his hand, but there's no way for them to know that. And we're not at the point where they're going to consult us.
They're not going to consult us about something like this.
Yeah. So we just have to wait and see how they decide on the situation. Will it be a prize penalty? Will it just be a warning? I don't know how harsh this can actually get.
You'd hate to see a prize penalty for it. I mean, that would be a huge swing. Steven was going to take a prize, and instead down another prize?
Yep. I really don't know. On the other hand, we had Pram have to reverse his entire turn when they realized what happened. So this could be really, really messy.
Yeah, it kind of went almost too far into Pram's turn.
Yeah. And, I mean, the worst part is, like, Pram, he had, like, the perfect turn where he would just do what he wanted. So I don't even know if this is that big of a deal. I mean, getting a knockout obviously is a huge deal, but...
So now they've put Pram's the handy Juniper for back on top of his deck, which is also... And the prize penalty, wow.
Yep, there you go, there's a prize penalty.
Wow.
I don't know what to say about that, but yeah, wow.
This is a crazy turn of events.
Yep. Even at the top tables, crazy stuff happens all the time. Nobody's perfect. And hopefully we can play a clean match the rest of the way. I don't know whose turn it'll end up being right now.
So he already portraited, I believe, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Because that's how we got the new hand with Juniper.
Mm-hmm. Well, sorry, folks, we are a little speechless at the moment. It's an interesting situation where we don't know whose turn it is or anything like that. They're just trying to put the game state back where it was and fix everything. Because a lot of stuff did happen incorrectly. I don't know what the argument is about here.
I think it's about maybe whether he portraited or not.
He definitely did. I remember he switched to the Selby.
Just the portrait, yeah. And then he switched back.
Yeah, he switched to the Selby, used Force Breath, then I think he played a supporter, he played another switch to Smeargle, then he portraited. And, okay, here we go.
So the end result is he goes down a prize, and then he has to junk arm for the switch because the Sky Arrow got taken to the prize. That's
a devastating mistake.
Yeah,
it's going to cost him a lot of resources.
After all of that, the Sky Arrow was like one card that randomly got chosen from his hand, so
yeah,
it's crazy.
That was like 1 in 7, whatever was in his hand.
Yeah, it was like 7 or.
It's like 7 or 8 cards to choose from, yeah.
And the judge randomly picks a skill. Wow.
Yeah. Alright, so Pram is going to be happy with this situation, I'm sure.
How did they know the order of the cards Pram put back on top of his deck?
I don't know, man. We're just going to roll with it. But this turn has pretty much played itself out already. We know that Pram gets everything he needs. Catches up the Terrakion, there's going to be a plus power there. Let's play it, I think. Yep. So we're going to get... Oh, and you know what just happened?
He moved the fighting to a different... Wow. Because he knew what was going to happen.
Wow. Yeah, he hurricaned the fighting to the Smeargle when before he put it on the Terrakion because he knew that Pram had catcher and the plus power. So this penalty has completely wrecked this game.
This game has changed 100%.
Yeah. Hopefully from here there's no bumps, but so much just changed in that little amount of time. It's ridiculous. Pram does junk arm. He discards his Juniper so that Steven won't be able to portrait it. He gets the double knockout. He goes down to 3 prizes. He's still in a very good position to win, but I can't emphasize how much this game was impacted by that penalty. And it's just a weird situation. I've never seen it before. We'll see where it goes from here. I would hate to have Pram lose like that because it impacted Steven's decision to move the energy to a different Pokemon.
Yeah, I mean, it just happened. I don't know.
But it's alright. Steven does have a portrait now. I don't know if Pram got a supporter off his prize. I didn't see it. He does have a Juniper. So he will be able to get a fresh hand of 7 at the very least.
So he's probably hoping for the track and obviously some kind of scenario where he draws into all the pieces for that again.
Yeah. He actually puts down another fighting energy so we can get a Drakian and a Shaman this turn. Catches out the Darkrai with no energy and no Eviolite. Interesting that he would go for that one. And
I think that's the easiest one for him to knock out this turn, maybe.
Yeah, but the one with 2 energy on his bench.
Oh
doesn't
yeah,
have
that's true. That's true.
So
that is interesting.
I wonder why he did that, but we'll find out. Maybe he didn't think he'd be able to pull off the attack this turn.
See, this is where the Ultra Ball comes in handy, because he's definitely going to be able to get that Shaman.
Yeah, but the problem, I guess, for him now is he didn't knock out a Darkrai with energy. And he's just played out his entire hand. So, he's going to go ahead and Celebration win Portrait, but there's nothing there.
Nothing, yeah.
And now you got to think Pram is in a wonderful position. There's only 2 cards in Steven's hand.
Yeah, and that prize is huge. That one prize.
And the prize penalty for Pram is just going to make it so he has to knock out 3 Pokemon to win. That'll just be like a Terrakion, and then
a Selby,
and then it's just 1 catcher, and the game's over. Steven can still win this.
Oh yeah, Terrakion is an incredibly powerful card.
Yeah.
I just don't see it with the Night Spears versus the Selbys. I think if he somehow made the game longer with some healing cards that we don't know about, that the Selbys would end up getting knocked out eventually anyways.
Don't get me wrong, he needs a ton of cards to even have a shot at this game, but it's perfectly possible. It all comes down to this turn, though. If he doesn't knock out a Darkrai, it's over.
Yeah, I don't see a plus power in his hand.
Yeah, I don't either. There's no supporter. Looks like he got that Sky Arrow Bridge out of his prizes.
That's just insult to injury.
Yeah. Steven, he could just land Crush here for 160, 20 short of the knockout thanks to Eviolite, and he just scoops up his cards, and we're going to move on to the third game.
Wow, what a incredibly weird game.
Yeah, I've never really seen a situation like that before. Glad we got to catch that, but we're going to head into game 3. Both players are just going to forget that even happened, and the winner of this game will move on to the top 8 here at the World Championships here in Kona, Hawaii.
Yeah, hopefully that doesn't impact either player's play. That's a huge thing to happen. It can really make you nervous or something like that.
Really
you know,
rattle you if you're Steven. Yeah, I mean, you probably were nervous going into this, but maybe gained some confidence after winning the first game, and then you think, all right, I got a good matchup, everything's going well, and then boom, you just make a silly mistake. You don't play the cards that you needed to retreat. Everything goes wrong, and you have to just sit there and just like kick yourself for making such a dumb mistake when so much is on the line.
Yep, so we're going to see Steven go first, probably, obviously.
Yeah.
You have to go first.
I would hope so.
And there he is. He is looking through his deck again.
And you can see Pram is visibly upset that Steven is doing this. We refer to this as declumping, where you just kind of go through your deck and separate things out.
It is legal.
It is, but it can kind of be seen as just like stacking your deck in a way.
Yeah.
He's doing it blatantly.
Sort of like weaving.
Yeah. But the judges are allowing it, so there's nothing we can do about it. Looks like he's just shuffling anyway. He's not cheating by any means.
Yeah, he's definitely randomizing his deck up after doing a lot of riffle shuffles.
Yeah, but it just kind of looks bad. We are getting set up here for the third game, top 16 match here at Worlds. There's a lot on the line here. I believe top 8 gets scholarship money. Top 16 no longer gets any scholarship money. You know, you win this match, you win the next one, and you have a guaranteed invite to the next year's World Championship, and a fully paid trip, and a hefty paycheck as well.
Yeah. That is an interesting point you brought up, where top 16 didn't get scholarship anymore. That's part of their thing where they reorganize the prizes to make it more top-heavy, where first gets, I believe, 10,000 now, and second gets 7,500, I believe. So on one hand, that's a good thing for the winner, but it makes it more top-heavy for the rest of the field.
There's much more pressure on these matches right now.
Yeah.
All right, so here we are, starting in Game 3. Steven will go first. Pram's got to be relieved to open with the Darkrai instead of Smeargle. CMT has a lot of different ways to turn one your low hit point basics, but Darkrai, he's pretty much going to live every time.
Yeah, I can't see a way that thing ever goes down.
Yeah, unless he busts out a Lugia Legend, I don't think that's going down.
And we have not seen that yet.
Yeah, I don't think we've seen any of that at the World Championships.
Maybe he was saving it for Game 3.
And all 3 energy types, too. He was just holding them all. So we do see an N from Steven. Pram will get a new hand, as will Steven. They're going to draw 6. This could be scary if Steven gets a turn 1 Hurricane, hitting for 80. That is still devastating for any deck to deal with.
There's a Juniper.
3 special darks, too. So Pram doesn't have the best hand in the world.
Yeah.
If he has to Juniper that way, he's losing a ton of his special darks, which is the best way to combat Terrakion. You're just able to set it up for those 2-hit the double knockouts with 100, and then you hit it for 30 later with Night Spear.
I didn't see any grass energy in Steven's hand.
He also doesn't have the Selby out or a Sky Arrow. So.
Well, he's going to get the Selby here, I imagine, or the Terrakion. He would probably hold the Terrakion, though.
Yeah, Selby is the much better choice.
Yeah.
But in order to pull off a Hurricane here, you need, like, Switch, Grass,
Sky Arrow.
Another Switch or a Sky Arrow, yeah. Not too possible here. Well, possible, not too probable.
Yeah.
And with such a low amount of cards, I would be upset if that happened if I were Pram.
He's upset when his opponent attaches an energy on the first turn.
This is true. So he draws another Darkrai. Turn 1 Night Spear. Definitely not in the realm of possibility, I wouldn't think.
Interesting to see he didn't try to transceiver for...
Random receiver, yeah.
For like a Pont or something. Save those darks.
Yeah. The thing that can happen with that is you just end up getting another Juniper. Maybe you just didn't want to risk that. So, but yeah, I understand. It's definitely something that would go through your head that you would say, I can't afford to discard all this stuff. There's 2 special darks and a junk arm, I think.
Yeah, those are all key cards.
Yeah. And now, looks like another slow start. Similar to Game 1 for Pram, where he doesn't have a whole lot going for him. No basic darks on the discard, so he can't use Dark Badge. And I'm just going to pass.
Wow. He didn't get a Smeargle out either, or anything like that. So, probably the worst possible start for Game 3 for him.
Yeah, definitely. And how will Steven follow this up? I can't quite see what he's got. I don't know if he actually has a supporter.
I don't see a supporter or a switch, which would be what he needs to get this Tornadus active.
Yeah, this is one of those very weird spots with CMT. Do you want to bench this Terrakion before it's ready? If you aren't able to attack with Tornadus this turn and Hurricane, now that Terrakion is there to get hit before it comes up.
Yeah, at the same point, if you don't bench it and you portrait a Juniper, you just lost a Terrakion.
And it looks like Pram has nothing. And Steven will have to pass this turn, I think.
Yeah. So both players don't have a supporter.
Pram does have the random
receiver.
He's going to capture out that Darkrai so that he can't Dark Patch to it. And that will be Steven's turn. Slow starts for both players. Steven doesn't have anything in his hand. He's very reliant on Portrait, but he didn't have a switch in his hand. Pram recognized this, catches out the Terrakion, so Portrait won't even be an option. So Steven is in full top deck mode here.
Yeah, that Terrakion is just stuck.
Yeah.
It's hung out to dry.
So we will see there's the plus power and another Juniper. This one's not as painful.
Yeah, just a potion, it's like an energy and a Sky Arrow.
Yeah. And he has to get rid of a plus power too, but that's okay. Night Spirit, probably not going to happen this turn. It could if he had like Dark Patch.
If he had like a junk arm, it would be more possible.
For switch, yeah. A lot of it, I mean, Pram saw his hand. Or actually, he didn't see his hand, sorry.
No, he has no idea. He has to know that he doesn't have a supporter, though.
Yeah, but we saw his hand.
Yeah.
We know that the Sraken's stuck. Pram's not under any real pressure right now.
I think he has a good idea of what's in his hand.
Yeah. There is a junk arm. He's going to go... Oh, he's going to discard 2 supporters, so maybe... Okay, he didn't know that there's no switch, but still kind of a safe play there.
Yeah, he doesn't want to take any chances that this maybe he'll top deck. Even if he thinks he doesn't have a switch, maybe the top deck's always a possibility.
Yeah. So another pass here. No real action coming in the first couple turns. I'm sure the time situation is getting a little close. You know, it's only 60 minutes for these Top Cut matches, so you never know what can happen. We don't have a good track of time here, and this could just come down to whoever takes the first couple prizes.
Yeah, the crowd is slowly starting to gather around these matches. Anticipation's building. I'm getting excited here for this finish.
Yeah, it's gonna be close. Pram will pass, or Steven will pass his turn to Pram. We have a random receiver here. I'm not sure how many N Pram plays, but he's got to be hoping he doesn't get one.
I don't think he plays any.
He doesn't? Oh, okay.
I mean, we didn't. Every N we've seen out of him has been a portrait, so.
True. He might play one just for like clutch situations, but he might not play any at all. It's more common to see none, I think. He's got to play that Oaksgate Theory. And he is in a tremendous situation if he can just get an energy to Night Spear this turn. Like I said, Steven has nothing. He drew a junk arm last turn. Pram does get another Eevee Light down, and he's got the Dark Energy. Perfect.
See if he can... It doesn't look like he has a supporter again. Another... maybe he does.
Oh, and time. Oof. Time is just called. That is such a huge moment. And
so who's actually zero in this situation?
I don't really know, but if you're Pram, you have to be loving your position. You just set up 2 knockouts.
Yeah,
2
2 knockouts.
They're there.
And then the Smurgle's also on the board as well.
Right.
So it's 3 easy knockouts.
So all you need to do is take these 2 prizes, and it's just 1 catcher. Even if you do get knocked out, it's just 1 catcher. Game over. You're going to win. You're going to advance to the top 8.
And, man, Steven has to feel like, what can he do?
Yeah.
Hopeless. He's just stuck.
It's just like, why? I've gotten this far, and my deck just decided to crap out at the absolute worst moment. You know, the time just got called. There's nothing in my hand. He's got a junk arm. That's it. He's got a couple energy. It all depends on who's turn 0 here. I don't know if it actually matters, though. Pram can just take so many prizes as long as he can power up that second Darkrai.
Yeah, it was weird. Time Sword got called right as the damage was being placed, so...
Yeah. So right now, we're just going to wait. These players are going to take their time with this turn for sure. I really don't know if Steven has a way out unless he just busts that max potion or potion out of nowhere.
Oh, that would be huge.
That would be like a heartbreaker for Pram. He's got to think he has this one. And after that slow start, he probably didn't expect to be able to win, but here he is. He's in a great position. I really think he's got a great shot to win.
Yeah. So if Steven is like turn 0 maybe,
yeah,
he's gonna have to get 2 Terrakions fully powered probably.
Yeah. So Pram will be using a random receiver here. He's getting a Juniper. Maybe he's just trying to discard all of his supporters. Take away the portrait option. One of the ways Steven could still win, though, is if he top decks an N and gets a ridiculous retaliate knockout.
Yeah, he needs to retaliate.
Yeah.
He needs to retaliate, then the Land Crush with the plus power.
Yeah.
And hope that he's the last turn.
Looks like Pram has got a plus power in the special deck. He might be just going for the Tornadus knockout.
I think he's sort of digging for the catcher.
Yeah. So if he gets a catcher, he's going to go for the Tornadus. Knock that out, and then knock out Terrakion as well.
Yeah.
And then Celebi's
Clean
just
off
a
all the
sitting duck.
energy.
Oh,
Loss remover. So he whiffed on the catcher and all loss remover.
Yeah. Loss remover's not that big of a deal, I guess. But we'll see if he decides to just take the double prize. I don't think he has a catcher. This is going to be down to the wire if Steven can pull off. Retaliate here.
I think you have to sort of take the double prize.
Yeah, I agree. This is down to the wire here. Steven must take 2 prizes this turn. He has to knock out a Darkrai, or his run is over. He will be eliminated from the tournament, and Michael Pramawat will advance to the top 8. The pressure is on. It doesn't get more tense than this.
Yeah. He's got to be hoping that Pramawat hit a supporter off his prizes, and that there's one in his hand from the portrait.
Yeah, there's a lot of combinations that he could pull off. You know, he could Shaman, move the grass to a Terrakion, then play fighting. He needs a plus power, though. Both of those Darkrai's are EV lighted. So, basically, this turn he needs a Terrakion, fighting, and another energy with a plus power. And then he needs Pram not to have a catcher, and he'll have a shot at this game.
I think he has a revive in his hand, so I think he has almost all the parts except maybe he has all the parts. I'm not sure.
I'm sure we'll find out very shortly here.
I saw plus power, so he's going to be able to power up this Terrakion. Does he have a way to retreat?
He might just be like 1 card short. He might not have enough cards to discard. He does have the Junk Arm.
Yeah, looks like he's going to have the Junk Arm first.
I don't really know what's in there. Discards a catcher, that's an easy discard, but he doesn't have anything to just go... I don't know if there's a random receiver in there. He would have played that a long time ago, for sure. He's playing the dual ball. He discards the fighting. I don't understand that.
He's in a really tough spot.
I think he's just kind of understanding that there's not a whole lot left.
Yeah, he was 1 card away there.
Yeah, just 1 card he could have had. Like a switch after a double attaching to the Terrakion and then a plus power.
He's getting the Shaman here.
Alright, he's going for a portrait. That's his last resort here. He's just going to pray that Pram has a supporter.
Yeah.
He can Force Breath. He can move the energy, play the plus power.
And hope for Juniper. Oh.
Michael Pramawat will win the top 16 match against Steven Mao. He'll advance to the top 8.
Wow.
Very happy for our very own Michael Pramawat to advance. And what a close series, a great match to kick things off here.
Oh, yeah.
Top 16.
Steven played excellently. He had that 1 sort of lapse with the Sky Arrow, but I'm not sure he could have won that game anyways. Pramawat, we saw that turn that he got right after that. What an interesting match.
Yeah, I mean, both these players are very high caliber. They played extremely well. Steven just had that little hiccup in game 2 that really impacted things, but like I said, or like you said, Pram probably would have won that game anyway. So I don't think that really impacted things. It was just a poor situation for Steven in the 3rd game. We said it at the beginning, CMT can hit those rough patches where it just doesn't draw what it needs. It can be clunky. And in a 3-game series, you just expect that to happen once. It just happened to be the deciding game.
Yeah, I think in the first game you saw Pramawat did hit those supporters, and in the 3rd game he didn't get those supporters, which is the difference between really denying the Smurgle portraits.
Yeah, I mean, when CMT can't use portrait, you can see it just kind of fell apart there.
Yeah.
It just runs out of supporters sometimes from its hand, and that's just all that happened. Just took 1 Darkrai for Pram to just kind of set up the board, and then, of course, time did get called. So we'll never know if that's how the match really would have played out, but it looked like he was at a firm advantage anyway.
Yeah, he was really denying Steven anything, and he wasn't top decking at all, so that's just sometimes how the deck draws sometimes. It's clunky. I said it earlier, it's kind of clunky.
Yeah, so congratulations to Steven. Top 16 at World is a great accomplishment. But Michael Pramawat will be advancing to the top 8. We're very excited for our very own Top Cut member, to be advancing. Wishing him the best of luck. So stay tuned. We'll have more coverage here from the 2012 World Championships. I've been Kyle Sucevich.
Drew Holton.
And we will be back soon.